Good evening. I'm Nisa Petrilli.
I'm Jay Kaplan.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
And I'm Sean Roman.
And this is the On the Sports Lines NFL Training Camp edition. NFL fan, the third week of July means only one thing. Training camp is 1 week away. Woo-hoo. So in what's becoming a tradition, we're happy to once again have Joe Tufaro and Dennis Agapito to talk Giants and Jets with us. Then we're going to take a look at some old faces in new places. And as always, we want to hear from you. So email us at fanspeak@onthesportslines.com. Send your tweets to @onthesportslines and your posts to facebook.com/onthesportslines. We just may read them on the show.
We will, Sean.
Let's do it tonight.
I'll see what I can do.
The Giants open up training camp on July 30th. They're coming off their second straight losing season and their third straight non-playoff season. There are plenty of storylines to follow, and to discuss a few of them with us is Joe Tufaro, co-host of Pro Football View from the East. Welcome back to the show, Joe.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure to be here, and it's always fun to start talking football again.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling the excitement of the season coming soon. So the guys are going to have some questions for you now. Jay, lead off.
Joseph, my friend, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Not bad. So I got a two-parter for you. Get you rolling right off the bat. So Eli Manning has some contract negotiations that have to get worked out, and Tom Coughlin is potentially on the hot seat. So I'll throw this at you. A, how much of a distraction is Eli's contract situation going to be, and just how hot is the seat Coughlin's on this year?
Yeah, I think you got zero on both of them.
Yeah, okay. Tell me why.
Yeah. Well, I think Eli's contract at this point is just going to be a matter of they're going to finish off everything else they got to do. They had to find out what they were going to have to pay JPP. Of course, that answer may be zero at this moment. So, they wanted to just kind of see where they stood. And Eli's not a guy where you have to pay him more than the next guy. He's not looking for his, big breakout contract.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the money. He's got a nice house in Amagansett. He's a nice guy. He doesn't care if he makes $1 more than Cam Newton or anybody else.
Right? Win Super Bowls,
That's true.
And that's all. He's a team guy, and they'll figure it out for him. And he also knows they'll take care of him. As far as Coughlin goes, I don't like the phrase hot seat with a guy who will not get fired middle of the season. They can start out 0-8. He's not getting fired.
Okay.
He might resign. He might retire. He might become president of football operations at the end of the year. He might go coach Army. But he's not getting fired. I mean, this is just not what they do, and they're not going to take a two-time Super Bowl winning coach whose teams don't quit on him and go out there and fire him. There's nothing better to bring in the middle of the season.
All right, so you don't think there's anything like he has to go 9-7 or make the playoffs or anything like that?
Well, see, I think that's different from being in the hot seat, Jay, and that's what I'm saying. Hot seat to me means if you go 1-5 to start the season, you're done.
All right.
Or you go 2-8, you're done. I think it might be his last year. I think he's got to prove some things to the team and to the ownership. But I still think it's going to be a mutual understanding at the end of the season.
It might be his last year even with a great season.
That's
He
true.
might go out with a Super Bowl.
Exactly. So either way, it's still pretty much up in the air. So I don't think it's a distraction of any kind.
All right. Steve?
Yeah, Joe, it's Steve Ferguson. How are you?
Good, Steve. How you been?
Good, thank you. My question to you is also a two-parter. One of my questions is, how do you see the battle for the starting running back playing out? And of the new 5 players that potentially can be backups, which one of them can be a backup running back?
Well, I think, I think you guys know me well enough now. As far as starters go, I think this running back is going to be a committee with this team all the time. I think it should be on most teams. And I think Rashawn Jennings is back. He seems like he's 100% healthy. We'll find out in the next couple of weeks. Andre Williams is there. He had a very, very good rookie year when he got pressed into service. And then you brought in Shane Vereen, who's going to be a third down guy, who's going to be they can get some catches out of the backfield. And I think they'll just alternate series or go into hot hand. You know, you're going to have to use everybody on this roster, and you want to keep a couple of guys there for depth because, as we all know, injuries are the biggest thing to overcome in the NFL.
Especially at the running back position.
Yes,
Especially the running
definitely.
back position. You know, it's happened in the last couple of years, and you just need to be able to, use different guys in different situations and use them to the best of their ability. So I think it's a committee right now of Jennings and Williams, and Marine will be a third down type of guy who you might see, in Ben McAdoo's offense. You might see him split wide, you might see him in the slot. He can do a lot of different things going in motion and trying to get some matchups, which it's all about.
Sounds good.
Joe, this is Sean Roman. I want to speak about Jason Pierre-Paul. He was having a great time on July 4th, and what he was doing, he was trying to do something nearly as dangerous as playing football. He was playing with fireworks, and from what I've heard as far as his medical condition, that he blew off part of one finger and that his thumb has permanent nerve damage. Does this gel with what you've heard about his actual physical condition right now, or do you know something different?
No, the funny thing is that nobody knows anything at this point because his agent, at the time of the accident, decided that they didn't want to deal with the Giants. They didn't want to have anybody come down and check on his condition before they made some decisions. And here's a guy who, with his family, I guess, but with his agent by his side, decided to have one of his fingers amputated and never talked to the team. And then his agent said, we think you should guarantee us the $14 million you're going to pay us, before we go any further. And you're like, well, can he at least come to New Jersey and walk in the building and be a man and say, hi, Tom, hi, Jerry, this is what happened, I'm sorry, and this is what, can I see your doctor so they can tell us where I'm going to be in 6 months?
I'm wondering if anybody has ever researched the issue of how a missing finger and hand damage could affect a player at his position. Is that something you know about at all?
No, I guess, again, you can take your fingers in different ways, and guys have come back from different injuries, but the fact that no one knows, except maybe a couple of doctors in Miami who aren't talking, nobody knows what he looks like. Nobody knows what his capabilities are. Nobody knows what his disabilities are going to be. And until he comes up and goes to the hospital for special surgery and talks to Dr. Waring, who's the Giants team physician, they're not going to do anything. And he's not going to, if he doesn't show up, then what's he going to do? He's not going to get paid. They'll put him on the non-football injury list. And that's the end of it until he decides.
I think they're buying time.
Yeah, I agree.
Joe, if he's not able to go, who's the next man? Who's the most likely next man up?
Well, you got Demontre Moore who's got to take a step up this year anyway. Robin Ayers had a really good season last year. Hopefully he comes back healthy. You've got a number of guys. The nice thing about the Giants, the thing that we've talked about in the past, Jay, is they really do have a lot of depth. And they've always tried to get guys that can play different positions. All along their offensive line, guys that played every position. But, you've got Marcus Coons. You've got Jenkins, you've got Hankins, you've got Hamilton, you've got Ellis, you've got Bromley and Wynn, and Stanton, and George Selby, who they brought in from the Cowboys. This guy from UCLA, Odighizuwa. You've got a lot of different guys on this team that can go into a rotation because just like we talk about with running back guys, that defensive line is nothing but a rotation also, right?
Right.
You're going to bring guys in on first down, bring guys in, especially having our defensive coordinator back.
Yeah.
Having Spagnuolo back, he's always managed to put guys in the proper position.
Right.
To move guys around, put them where they're going to be successful. He doesn't really have a set scheme. He puts guys, he finds out what he has and he puts them in the place to succeed. So I think they're okay. It's just a matter of knowing whether or not he's going to be on the team and what's he going to be, what are his capabilities going to be.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Joe. We really appreciate you being on the show with us tonight.
Well, thanks, guys. It's a pleasure, and I'm sure everybody can hear the yelling in the background. And I'm out here at a Mets game, but I appreciate you guys having me on and putting up with the racket in the background.
Always a pleasure, Joe. Yep. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
That's Joe Tufaro from Pro Football View from the East. You can follow him on Twitter at ToughDan. So let's turn to the Jets now, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, let's talk a little Jets now. The Jets actually open up training camp on July 29th. After an abysmal 4-12 season, they're starting a new chapter as Todd Bowles takes over for head coach. Again, starting a new chapter.
Yep.
He's just one of the storylines to follow. To talk about that one and more is Dennis Agapito, co-host of Pro Football View from the East and writer for NYJetsFans.com. Welcome back to the show, Dennis.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure to be on, Nisa, and everyone else. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks so much. Well, our panel has some questions for you, and Steve is going to start us off.
Yes, Dennis, my question is about Brandon Marshall. He tweeted that the Jets will be his last team. What does he bring to the table, and what are his leadership qualities that make him a great player to have on the Jets?
Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that the Jets will be his last team because after being traded from 3 other teams, I don't know who would really want him. I don't know really what he brings other than baggage. I mean, everywhere he's been unhappy. I mean, he's been unhappy everywhere he's been. He's been traded away. I mean, there's this claim that he's a #1 receiver, but if you look at his statistics from last year, it's 61 receptions for 721 yards. Doesn't sound like a #1 receiver to me. He's 31 years old. They traded away a draft pick. They gave him more money. Why he needed more money, I don't know. I guess just to keep him happy. But nothing to keep this guy happy. So I really don't know what he brings, to tell you the truth. I don't really understand how this move makes the Jets on offense that much better. Maybe 5 years ago it would have been a smart move. Right now I just don't see how it really is that much of an improvement.
Wow.
Hey, Dennis, it's Jay. How are you, my friend?
Oh, terrific, Jay. Great to speak with you.
You too, my man. So Chan Gailey says that Geno Smith is flat out the starter heading into camp. Todd Bowles says Mr. Fitzpatrick will get to compete for the job. Mixed signals? Is there going to be a quarterback controversy competition? How do you see this playing out?
Well, let's look at Mr. Ryan Fitzmagic's numbers. That's his little nickname there, but I don't know how he got it, considering that he's compiled in his career a 33-55-1 tie as a starter. That's under a 38% winning percentage.
True.
So look, here's the bottom line. Geno Smith has one thing Ryan Fitzmagic doesn't have, upside. Okay, he has upside and potential. Is he going to live up to that potential? I don't know. He didn't live up to it last year. So
I don't think so.
Well, the bottom line is this. If Ryan Fitzpatrick ends up starting, the Geno Smith era is over. Start looking forward to 2016. The season is over. So, you know what? It's up to Geno Smith. He's in his 3rd year. Time to take a step forward.
So, I mean, does Smith have all the rope he needs? I mean, does Fitzpatrick literally have to play lights out to steal the job from him? Or is this, these guys just doing, talk, and Geno's going to be the guy?
Geno's going to be the guy that starts the season no matter what. Because, again, Ryan Fitzpatrick is what he is. He's a backup quarterback. And he doesn't have any more upside. He's 33 years old. There's no more potential for him. You know what he is.
All right.
Geno Smith has potential and upside. At least he has that going for him. Like I said, he's going to live up to it. We'll see. A new offense. Maybe it fits his skill set better. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the game's just too fast for him. Last year the Jets were one of the worst offenses in the red zone.
Correct.
And that came down to a lot of poor decision making by Geno Smith. As the game speeds up, his ability to process a game slows down. And you want to know something else? Geno Smith can throw a 40-yard touchdown pass a lot easier than he can throw a 4-yard touchdown pass. That's a real problem. The Jets have a lot of issues at that position, and I truthfully believe the Jets' quarterback of the future is not on the roster right now.
Bryce Petty?
No, don't Bryce Petty.
Wow.
that was a throwaway, Dennis. I'm just joking with you. Sean.
Dennis, the training camps for Rex Ryan were defensively oriented. I expect that with Todd Bowles, the camp will also be defensively oriented. Do you see any difference between the camp and how it'll look this year and what we saw the last few years?
Well, I don't know about the camp necessarily being defensively oriented under Rex Ryan. I mean, camp is camp. They just go out and practice, and you see the offense play, the defense play. They do the drills. They do 11 on 11. They do special teams. The thing with Todd Bowles and Rex Ryan, the comparison is that Bowles is supposed to be a disciplinarian. But thus far, heading into training camp, all I've seen is Sheldon Richardson running his mouth and then getting a 4-game drug suspension. Muhammad Wilkerson complaining about his contract. Willie Colon was running his mouth some too and complaining, making kind of odd comments. and Antonio Cromartie getting on Twitter fights. So, Rex Ryan was heavily criticized for not being a disciplinarian, but yet Todd Bowles is one. But thus far, I have not seen the disciplinarian-type philosophy really put into effect. I'll be interested to see if camp is run tighter, if these guys are really held accountable, because apparently Rex Ryan never held the team accountable, and they were undisciplined during games, penalties, things of that nature, which is part of the reason why Rex Ryan is in Buffalo, by the way, with the best defense in the AFC East.
Yeah, how about that?
So you sound a little more optimistic about the Jets than I predicted. Are you more optimistic than you've been in the last, let's say, 2 seasons?
No, I'm not optimistic at all. In fact, as you could probably tell my sarcastic tone. I mean, look, John Idzik was supposedly, a guy who was too frugal and didn't spend money. And they brought Mike McCagnon in here, a guy who was only there because Charlie Casserly was a consultant to Woody Johnson and brought his boy over. If you look at the Houston Texans' last 2 years of drafting, it's been terrible. Now, he was director of college scouting, not the general manager. But what else do I have to judge him by? The only thing Mike McCagnon has done well is spend John Idzik's money that he was disciplined enough to make difficult decisions. And you know what? It's easy to run out and spend a ton of money, but this team has now become older, more expensive, and slower. And in my opinion, what they have built here is a house of cards, a group of individuals, not a team. You know this, gang.
Yep.
Caliber teams are built through the draft, not built through free agency. This has never been successful, and it will not be successful this year for the Jets.
Sad to say, I got to agree with you, man.
Yeah, as do I.
Yep.
Well,
We'll
thanks
see.
so much, Dennis. We really appreciate you being on the show with us tonight.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. Anytime, gang. Take care.
Always a pleasure, buddy.
That's Dennis Agapito from Pro Football View from the East and nyjetsfans.com. You can follow him on Twitter at PFVFV. All right, guys, you want to go around the NFL a little bit now?
Let's do that.
Let's take a look at 4 old faces who will be playing in new places this season and what they'll bring, positive and or negative, to their new teams. Sean, start us off. Who are you going to be looking at?
Well, last year I got to, with my job, go up to Buffalo a number of times. And before that season began, they love their team so much up there.
Yes,
Some of the greatest fans. I mean, you see them on the play. They love their Sabres. They love their Bills. They just would tell me, we are just going to be absolutely atrocious this year. So one of the greatest surprises last year was the performance of the Buffalo Bills. So now they got Rex Ryan. That's motivating the town. And their big pickup, LeSean McCoy.
Yeah.
Steve, you tell me, have they had a better running back since Orenthal James?
I think he's
Thurman Thomas, let's not forget about him.
And I met Thurman Thomas, by the way.
But
a bigger
years
star
ago.
in
Yeah.
that sense. I mean, if you look at his last 2 years, 2013, they're like the most prolific offensive player in terms of his rushing yards and passing. There was a little bit of a fall off last year, but still respectable, 1,300 yards. And which LeSean McCoy are you going to get? What I think if he was going to a more high-profile place that people would be worried about that he's not going to face in Buffalo is he a poison or a cancer in the locker room? Because of his comments about Chip Kelly being racist.
Yeah.
When
But he backpedaled from that real quick.
the economics of being racist in the NFL are just not there. If you don't have African American players, you are not going to win. Chip Kelly understands this, so just making that type of statement just shows a level of stupidity that a player should not have, that you don't want on your team.
I think McCoy was frustrated with his role in Kelly's offense. I think a lot of guys on that team
I think it's him as a personality because, I mean, if you look up LeSean McCoy today, what is he doing? He's putting out a post that says, okay, I want to have a party with myself and all pretty women. Send your information to my promoters. Let's do it. So this is who they're dealing with.
We'll see.
But he's now a big fish in a small pond.
He is.
So I think that will benefit him overall. Would it benefit him on the Jets?
Steve, who are you looking at?
I'm looking at DeMarco Murray, and I think in the Philadelphia offense, what I'm interested to see is how often does he get the ball? Because remember, in Dallas, he was a monster last season, ran for over 2,000 yards, really helped Tony Romo out on the offensive end.
Actually, 1,800 plus. He didn't hit 2,000.
Yeah, that's right. He was very close, but didn't quite make it. But he was such a dominant running back last year. And in Philadelphia's scheme where they throw the ball more, they have more gadget plays, I'm not sure their offensive line is as good either as Dallas. Dallas had a great offensive line last year. They really blocked well for this guy.
Yeah, but I think if they don't use him as much, he will be fresher come the fourth quarter to help them run the ball to close out games when they have the lead, which is something they have not been doing
That's
under
fair,
Chip
and
Kelly
he's more of
of
a
late.
bulldozer than McCoy.
Yep.
McCoy's more of a slasher and runner.
Jay, who are you looking at?
I'm looking at Jimmy Graham, who got inexplicably traded from the New Orleans Saints to the Seattle
was
a
Seahawks. From the U, that is correct.
That was a shock.
This guy automatically gives the Seahawks a vertical threat down the middle of the field. Averaged 14 receptions of 20-plus yards over his last 4. He's a go-to guy in the red zone, which will improve Seattle, who was 20th in efficiency in the red zone.
Wow.
His targets are going to drop from the 120-plus he's averaged over the last 4 because they don't pass as much in Seattle. He's going to have to amp up his skill set as a blocker because, Seattle runs the ball a lot.
Yes,
Here's the thing. This is a guy who averaged 89 catches, 1,100 yards, 11.5 TDs, and 62 first downs a season over his last 4. So I'm thinking offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell's going to be licking his chops at the prospect of finding some creative ways to get an offensive weapon that they have not had of his ilk. They're going to get this guy the ball. Maybe not the same extent, but they're going to get him the ball.
Well, I got to look at Ndamukong Suh on my Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
It gives them a much-needed defensive tackle who can threaten the sack on almost every play and put a lot of pressure on the top QBs, and he'll be lined up against Cameron Wake at defensive end. So the two of them together, it'll be hard for offensive lines to stop them both.
And there's a meanness factor that
Yes.
they haven't had with Brian Cox.
Controversial
The
factor
however
also.
is that Suh's
Yes.
character is somewhat questionable
Somewhat,
at
yes.
best.
Somewhat.
Just a touch.
Considered by many to be a dirty player.
Yes.
As a Dolphin fan, I'm a little concerned about it, and it does,
They need one of those.
kind of remain to be,
Yeah,
you know.
sometimes they do.
That's the
You'll
question.
take it right now.
I'll
If
take
they
it,
win
but
games,
I don't know
they
how I
won't.
feel about it. To be honest.
I hope that they've got some
He's not
fine
getting
money
hazed
stored
on.
up somewhere. The guy's a suspension waiting to happen.
Yes.
As dominant and
Always.
disruptive as he can be, at the same time, you always got to be wondering when the other shoe is going to
Exactly.
drop with him
Yes.
stepping on somebody,
Anybody
kicking
tries to
somebody.
haze him, it's not happening. No, in Miami.
Never.
Well, that music means it's time for the 3-minute warning. Sean, lead us off.
Have you guys even heard of the Esquire channel?
I actually think
Yes,
I have.
They're a channel on TV, and they recently decided to broadcast each day of a centuries-old Spanish tradition, the encierro, which is grown men running with the bulls in Pamplona. Now, seeing it broadcast as a legitimate sport, each of the 8 days of the famous San Fermin festival is something many will find curiously entertaining. With this type of exposure, it will unfortunately lead more Americans to being drawn like moths to a flame to the great event, as 25% of the runners are already from North America.
Wow.
And if you check it out, you will see that there are already too many runners in this running with the bulls. 17,000 runners on average try to run with just 6 bulls and 6 steers for half a mile. Now, it's the steers who get the better job of the bunch because they get to run the course each day and guide the bulls. The bulls get brought to the bullfighting ring. And the goal of the elite runners, poetically called the Davineros, the divine ones, is to run ahead of the bull right in between their very sharp horns for about 10 to 15 seconds apiece. Now, part of the attraction is also the danger, as a runner dies from a goring about every decade or so. But if you happen to share a love for a sport where there is glory, but resent the idolization of modern athletes, this may be the event for you.
Sandy, pull the trigger now. If pitching is at least 70% of baseball and good pitching stops, or at least neutralizes good hitting, then one would think the Mets would be in great hands. Not so fast, Grasshoppers. Sure, they're 34-5 and they score 4 more runs, but with a 49-46 overall record, the issues are clear. Met fans like me are as teed off as we've ever been. 6 years of a brutal AAA offense does that, and failure to deliver with runners in scoring position time after time. Remember Sunday's 18th inning, 1 for 26 performance? Zobrist, Gomez, Bruce, or Parra. Stop the posturing. Get one of them right now. Let's go, Mets. Act now, or this once promising season will go up in heartache and smoke, and we deserve much better.
Amateur tied for British Open lead after 3 rounds. 21-year-old within striking distance of 3rd straight major. Day 2 leader looks to bounce back from awful 3rd round. 2 former Open champions in top 5 heading into final round. What do all these headlines have in common? They're all from the 2015 British Open, and none of them involve Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson. Tiger missed the cut for the second straight major, and Phil was never really a factor. And isn't it fantastic? I have to commend my fellow members of the Fourth Estate for recognizing that a golf major can actually have a constantly changing narrative filled with multiple storylines that will have fans riveted both at the course and on their couches without those legends anywhere to be found. And that was just last Sunday's third round. Paul Dunn didn't become the first amateur to win the Open since the immortal Bobby Jones in 1930. Jordan Spieth didn't, after roaring back into contention in the third round, put himself a PGA title away from a Grand Slam. Dustin Johnson didn't make a Spieth-like run on the final day to grab his first major. And neither of the former champs, Patty Harrington or Louis Oosthuizen, they didn't add another claret jug to their trophy case. Zach was the Johnson who made the Spieth-like run to win the Open in a playoff. But the fact that all of those storylines were very real possibilities heading into the final round is really all that matters.
I'm going to talk to you about tennis.
All right. Wow.
Yes, tennis. Because we have the opportunity to see something generational, and it's right here in our own backyard at Arthur Ashe in Queens. We all know how transcendent Serena Williams has been in her career. 21 singles titles, 13 doubles titles, and those are just the Grand Slams. She has dominated women's tennis in a way we've never seen before.
Absolutely.
Since 1922, when all 4 Grand Slams first existed at once, only 3 women have won all 4 titles in a single calendar year. And the last one was the great Steffi Graf way back in 1988. Anything we have to wait 27 years for counts as generational. And Serena would be the first American to do it in 63 years.
Wow.
After watching the pressure build during the run-up to Wimbledon, and then to watch her deal with it like the pro she is, only raised our hopes here in New York to witness what could be her crowning achievement, the calendar Grand Slam. I know I'm not the only New Yorker that'll be rooting for her during the U.S. Open. Here's hoping she's able to get through a tough tournament on the fast courts. Go Serena! For Jay Kaplan, Steve Ferguson, and Sean Roman, I'm Nisa Petrilli. Thanks for spending part of your evening with us. We'll see you on August 20th for another edition of On the Sports Lines. Remember, if you want to see this show again or catch up on any of the ones you might have missed, check us out at youtube.com/onthesportslines. And check out our blog at onthesportslines.blogspot.com. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Everyone.